must a man walk down.
Okay guys, today I'm going to show you how to create a wall tile out of plaster of Paris. I'm just using a bag of alabaster plaster. This is the bag here. It's a 5 kilo bag, alabaster plaster. And the quantities for mixing it up to make the tiles is 1 part water to 2 parts plaster. So in this container I've just made up enough, hopefully, to fill these 2 trays. Now these are just from a pack of 12 pencils that were originally in them. Now I find whatever you're using, if you can pre-cut the sides first and then put some tape on the edges to keep the plaster from running out, it makes it that much easier when it comes to time for you to remove the tile. So in this example I'm just using a cardboard box. I've done the same thing. I've pre-cut the corners so you can just fold it out when the tile is ready to come out. Another thing you might like to do is take some Vaseline or some sort of cream, and using a brush, just brush over your form first. This will just help it lift out a little bit easier. So that's also another tip. Now to create the hangers on the back, it's just plastic coated wire. Now that comes from a plant store, and I just go in the plant section and buy it, and it's cheap, and you can just cut it to fit into your molds, which you will put in just as they're about to set. Okay, so it takes around 30 minutes for your plaster to set, sometimes less depending on the size. The smaller they are, the quicker they set. Big molds can take up to 48 hours to set. So let's get into it. So basically how I've worked out the quantities to go in here is I've filled this up with water first completely, and then poured it into my measuring jug, and then measured the volume, multiplied it by 2 because I'm using 2, and then double that again with plaster so that I get pretty much around about the right quantity for what I'm working on. I'm just going to quickly throw the rest of the tape around here, and you can come back after it's set and just use some sandpaper and tidy up the edges to make it look a bit more neater if that's the look you're after, like so. Okay, so whenever you're mixing up your plaster, make sure that you have gloves. It can really dry your hands out, and also if you've got one of those little masks to put over your face, because you don't want to breathe in the powder. And it's probably best to do it outside if you can, or in a well ventilated area. So I just thought I'd mention safety. Okay, so the first thing you do is you put your water into your container. What you're doing is you're adding your plaster to your water. I've done it the other way, but I'm showing you the correct way to do it. And basically what you're doing is you're sprinkling it over the water and letting it sink through like this, and that's going to stop, well, it's going to cut down on the lumps, and it's much easier to mix this way. This is the way that I was taught at uni to mix it. Rain it over. I once made a green ant's nest mould out of plaster. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, let me tell you that. So just keep on moving it around so it doesn't. And then you can start to mix it with your hand a little bit. Alright, so and make sure you get your hands in there, get all those lumps out, because if you have lumps in it, it's going to weaken it, and you don't want to have a weak tile. Like so. Something else I'll mention is I like to add a bit of wood glue into the mix. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm thinking that by adding a bit of wood glue, it helps strengthen the plaster, but I do notice it also cuts down on the dust that comes off the plaster. So I usually just put a couple of good squirts into it and mix it in. Now you just, you've got a little while to wait before it starts setting, and what you can do is, I usually like to add it at the point where it's starting to get quite thick, because I don't want to put it in the moulds when it's really runny, just in case there's a leak in the mould. So I just keep on working it, squashing out all the air bubbles and the lumps, sorry. And the less air bubbles you have in it, the better as well, because air bubbles weaken it. So see, it's just a really nice consistency. Quite happy with that, so I'm just mixing. Okay, so I'm going to start adding this to the moulds because it's starting to set, as you can see. And just give it a bit of a tap, and that'll help get the air bubbles out as well. Now I've made probably enough, a little bit extra, probably made enough for another one. But it's always better to make too much than not enough, so I've just got this extra mould to make an extra one. So then you take your pre-made hangers, and as you can see, it's set enough for me to push them in, and you just want to line them up for where you think they're going to go to be able to support your tile. Just try and line them up in the middle. Like so. Just give them a tap to get the air bubbles out. As I can see, the air bubbles are coming up to the surface. Okay, so it's just a matter of letting them set now.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.